Hey friend, welcome to Mountain Meadow Homestead. My name is Melissa if you're new here. And today we're gonna make our own chicken feed and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna go about doing that. Um, here's some of our chickens. Go focus. Here we go. Anyway, so a little backstory. We like to feed our animals organically. We don't like to bring any type of chemicals here on the farm if we can help it. So like our horses, we try to get hay that hasn't been sprayed for weeds or anything. Our chickens, we try to feed organically as well. And so if you feed your chickens organically, you know that it can be fairly expensive. So we tried a couple different types of feed and we noticed, greater production with some versus others. And most of these feeds, they're over $1 per pound, if not close to the $1.50 range. So I am trying something new today, and I'm not sure if it's something that I will continue doing. We'll just see how easy it is to manage. But we're going to try and make our own chicken feed. And with the formula that I'm using, it did come out to, I think it was 83 cents a pound. And at the end of the video, I'll show you kind of my formula and everything that I put together to figure out that price. But so we're gonna go ahead and get our chicken feed going. A lot of these ingredients are from Azure Standard that I got. They were where I was able to source organic components fairly inexpensively compared to other places. So I'll show you what I have here. So on this far end here, I have whole oats. This is fish meal. I just found this on Amazon. Back there I have limestone, powdered limestone, and I have barley, field peas, organic cracked corn, and then I have our kelp and our Nutri-Balancer in the back. So I'm gonna get this all unloaded, and we're gonna take it over to the chicken coop. And I've brought a scale, and we're going to weigh out the portions that we need to make our own chicken feed. So this scale that I have, I don't know how far it goes up. It's actually my mom's scale. She's letting me borrow it for this project. But it's really handy. It allows you to zero out the scale. So we're just gonna get this plugged in here. And I just have an extra bucket that we'll use to weigh out the ingredients. And I've got a wheelbarrow that we're going to mix all of this in. It is starting to become mud season here, and that's not super ideal. Everything's just kind of soppy and wet. Let's see. So I have this extra bucket here. We're going to use this to weigh out our ingredients. We'll get that scale zeroed out. So we got everything in here. I'm going to go ahead and get all of these opened up. We get the scale turned on, zeroed out, perfect. So the first one we're going to do is corn, and we need 20 pounds of corn. This recipe that I'm using, it is based on 100 pounds of feed, so keep that in mind. All right. That right there is 20 pounds. Get thrown in our wheelbarrow. Make sure our scale is zeroed out. Next thing we got is our barley, and we need 22.5 pounds of barley. There we are. Okay. So we got our 22.5 pounds of barley. Get that poured in. Next thing we'll do are our peas. I'm just gonna set this out here. We're gonna need 30 pounds of peas. So here we go. $30 pounds of peas. All right. Next we have our oats, and we need 15 pounds of oats. Now the book that I was reading, it said you don't want to do more than 15 pounds in a 100-pound recipe because it can give your chickens the drizzly poops, and no one wants that. All right, that's 15 pounds. So here we've got our kelp granules, and we need about half a pound of those. Just like that. So we got this Nutri-Balancer. This is kind of like vitamins and whatnot that they need. We need 2 pounds of this. Okay. So that's what it looks like. And then we need 5 pounds of limestone.
So unfortunately, my camera battery died as I was finishing up mixing up the chicken feed. And so I'm just going to list off the ingredients for you that kind of made up this homemade chicken feed recipe. So we have 5 pounds of limestone, 2 pounds of Nutri-Balancer, zero point 0.5 pounds of kelp, 5 pounds of fish meal, 20 pounds of corn, 30 pounds of peas, 22.5 pounds of barley, and 15 pounds of oats. So you saw me add everything except for basically the limestone and the fish meal. And I mixed it up and it made a really nice consistency to give to the chickens. And I did end up feeding them some at that point and they really did like it. So, and we're going to go over how we came to the chicken feed recipe that we did. And I'm going to show you this book. It's called The Small Scale Poultry Flock by Harvey Ussery. And this book I use a lot of. It has a lot of great information in it. And he's got anything from how to make chicken tractors to diseases with your chickens to making your own food. So I highly, highly recommend this book if you have chickens at all. And if you have a question, he usually will have an answer in this book. So in this book, he talks about making your own chicken feed. And before I go into the recipe that we used to make our own chicken feed, I want to stress the importance of making sure you're getting your chickens the correct nutrients. So, in here, he does talk about getting the right carbs, the right proteins for your chickens, the different ingredients that you can use in your chicken feed to accomplish that. And so, I just read through this whole chapter to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And he also, at the end of the chapter, gives an example of the ratios per 100 pounds. And in the back of this book, he gives like a spreadsheet formula that you can use and put into an Excel or Google Sheets. And so that is essentially what I did. Um, Something to note in here, he does talk about there are certain things that you want to limit putting in your chicken feed. So, for example, the fish meal, he does talk about how you want to avoid um, putting too much in your chicken feed. No more than 5% of the feed should be the fish meal because it will make your eggs taste fishy. So that is something to know. Same thing with crab meal. You want to limit it to 2 pounds per 100-pound recipe. And he just goes over different things like meat scraps and making sure you're getting minerals and grit and oyster shells. So before you make your own chicken feed, just make sure that you are informed on those things and that way you can make a successful feed. When it comes to having enough calcium, I did, as you saw, add some limestone into the feed. We do feed them back their own eggshells. We haven't ever found an issue with them wanting to eat their own eggs as a result of that, because we don't like roast them in the oven or anything and dry them out. We just, when we crack an egg, we just throw the eggshell into the scrap bucket and then they get all of the scraps when we go up there. So I find that I don't enjoy the fish meal. Obviously, it's really fishy smelling, and I smelled like fish for the rest of the day after mixing up this homemade feed. So the only problem is the fish meal does add a lot of protein to your chicken feed, but you can exchange that out for like the soldier fly larva or meat scraps, crab meal. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to play around with it and see because I really do need to make sure that my chickens get enough protein, but not loving the fish meal. So, what I'm going to do is take you to my computer here and I'm going to show you the
formulation that I came up with and kind of just walk you through it and my pricing. So, what I did here is I basically took his formulation that he has in his book and I added to it and expanded it so that I could get some more data that I wanted on this chicken feed recipe. I also exchanged some things out for other ingredients. So, in his original recipe, he calls for wheat, and I switched it out for barley. They have about the same protein percentage. However, the barley was available at the time, whereas the wheat wasn't, and the barley is cheaper um, for what the amount that you get. So, most of my ingredients I did source from Azure. I did look at some other options like wheat bran. Um, and so some items I did have to get from Amazon. These are items that will last quite a while. So, like in this recipe, it only calls for 5 pounds of fish meal, and I bought a 50-pound bag. So that'll last me 10 recipes. And there are some things that I left out, like the crab meal. I didn't really feel like I needed to add both fish and crab meal because of the fishiness factor, which I'm glad I didn't, because the fish meal on its own is pretty fishy. But as you can see down here in the bottom right corner, this chicken feed recipe came out to 83 cents per pound by the time I multiplied everything out and found out the per pound price. And so I think that's pretty good because a lot of the organic feed that you can buy online is at least $1, if not $1.50 plus per pound. And so I do feel like for organic feed, I am saving quite a bit of money here. Let me know in the comments down below if you've ever made your own chicken feed and maybe what the ratios you use were, what type of ingredients. And I will be tweaking this recipe. I didn't love having the fish meal in the recipe because it did make me smell like fish for the rest of the day. Didn't love that. Um, However, the fish meal does have a high source of protein, and so a little bit goes a long way as far as your protein ratios. Um, but I'm going to do some tweaking with the recipe and see if I can get that changed. I might add some more peas or more barley. I'm not sure. So, anyway, let me know down below in the comments if you've successfully made your own chicken feed and maybe what that looks like. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. And if you're not already subscribed, we'd love for you to stick around for future videos. And so we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time, friend. Bye.